Alright, so I wanted to show you guys one more thing while we were talking about panning. The reason why I bring it up is because if we have a drum loop that has maybe multiple instruments within that drum kit, so if we've, a drum loop might have a kick drum, a snare drum, a hi-hat, maybe some cymbals, and who knows what else. So this drum loop that we've downloaded from, say, Looperman or Splice or whatever, has already been pre-mixed by somebody, so we can't tell how things have been panned. We can't tell, if we wanted to just raise the volume of the hi-hat or the kick drum, we can't do that like we could do if we were using the drum rack or something. So this makes it a little more challenging and basically a little more impossible to loop, say, a drum kit like this. So if I were to if I were to try and pan this, I'm panning the whole kit to the left, not just parts of it. Maybe not just my snare drum to the right or my hi-hat to the left, or however it is that I want to do it. I'm panning everything. So this is just one way you can use this tool, but it's really kind of neat. Alright, so I've got my MIDI clip, or excuse me, I've got my loop here. I've selected my range, I've got 4-bar loop, and in this little clip here I'm going to right click it, and we're going to scroll down this menu and we're going to look at these options here. We have one that says slice to new MIDI track, we have one that says convert harmony to new MIDI track, convert melody to new MIDI track, and convert drums to new MIDI track. So there, what we can do is we can change an audio sample into different types of MIDI information that then we can load on our own instruments with, which can get really kind of neat. So if I wanted to create a MIDI track based on this drum loop, let's hear it one more time. We can see the various ways that we might be able to play with this. So let's just try a couple things out. I'm going to right click it and I'm going to click convert drums to new MIDI track. And now I get a new track, and look at what it has. It's got all these drums loaded onto it, and it's tried to identify the transients and where all the beats and everything were for that track. So let's listen to this soloed. Here's the MIDI information that came with it. So this is that drum loop converted to MIDI drums. And now if I wanted to, I can come in here and customize things a little bit. Whoops. But the neat thing about it is now it allows me to do some panning. And look, it's already done some for me. So I can maybe pan my snare drum a little more, and I can pan this snare the opposite way, and I can pan this snare maybe partially that way, and maybe this one a little partially that way. So I'm starting to fill up that stereo spectrum. Cymbals, maybe I'll pan this cymbal like hard right, and then maybe this cymbal really hard left, and then maybe this one just a little to the right, maybe like a quarter of the way, another one maybe quarter of the way, and you can hear how this is going to sound now. Alright, neat. Alright, cool. And this is the great thing about the drum rack. So now I took a loop that I got online and I converted it to a MIDI drum rack, which can always be changed. You can change this drum rack out to a different drum rack. You could change it to a piano because it's just MIDI information. So I'm going to collapse this drum track, and I'm going to do the same thing with, say, this strings track. But say this one's got more of a melody to it, so I might right click it and click convert melody to new MIDI track. And now I've got this new melody track. And what did it load on here for me? It loaded an analog like piano or something. It just kind of loads whatever you think you want on there. Okay, that doesn't sound fantastic. So we come in here and we can modify this if we wanted to, or we can just try something else. So maybe I want to select, right-click and click Slice to New Melody. Or did I try that? Alright, I think I did that, so I'm going to do Slice to Harmony, or Convert to Harmony. Alright, we're getting somewhere. It's kind of neat. Let's try something different. I'm going to just press stop. And let's try converting this to, let's just do Slice to New MIDI track. So we've tried harmony, melody, we did the drums on the other beat, so now we'll just do Slice to MIDI. Create one slice per transient, per bar, per half note, so this can be customized. What a transient is anytime you see a waveform, if you look down here in the clip editor, anytime you see a waveform that has some kind of spike in it, this is a transient, and basically this means this is where the audio is getting picked up or recorded every time it's triggered. So I'm just going to go with transient. Slicing preset, might as well just, we'll just stick with built-in for now. Preserved warp timing, we'll keep that on. We'll just see what this does. Click OK. So now we've got this strings instrument. And what's interesting about this is it sliced all the transients into their own samples. So now I can trigger these with my keyboard. So this is really cool for samples. So let's say you pulled a song in here and you wanted to slice certain elements into samples. You can do that. And then you can set your MIDI controller up to trigger those samples. And you can see that it came up with quite a few of them. If you look down here in the strings rack. Alright, so there are quite a few different ways that you can slice tracks to MIDI information and then get the option to be able to pan those elements and make something maybe a little bit more original. So let's see what let's see here. So harmony. Let's hear our harmony with our original drums. Alright, not incredibly captivating, but it's pretty cool that you have this option. And I believe that when we have one of our guest speakers, Peter, comes in, I think he might do a lot more explaining about slicing tracks to MIDI. But I wanted to show you that you can absolutely turn audio information into MIDI information that you can then customize, and you can customize the instrument you're using. So for instance, maybe I don't want drums on this. Maybe I want you know, some piano or something. Or let's see here. Let's see what this dirty piano sounds like. Sounds great. Anyway, you guys play around with this. This is pretty fun. Slice audio to MIDI.